Hi, it's me, your teacher, Brother Rasika. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the case study presentations that you're going to be doing. Starting with lesson 3, we're learning about earthquakes, right? Well, starting with lesson 4, you, in a small group of 6 to 7 people, are going to study a specific earthquake, and then you're going to research that topic and then create a presentation on it using Google Docs in the slides. And you're going to make it as if you were going to actually present it to us, as if you're presenting a PowerPoint in front of the class. Unfortunately, because we're in an online class, we're not going to be able to do that. Although, if you and your group decide that you want to present and make a video presenting your case study, let me know. There'll be some extra credit in it for you, and we'll see if we can fix that up. I've never had a class take me up on that, but if you're interested, let me know. We can make it work. So when you go to lesson 4, you're going to see this. Lesson 4, Earthquake Case Studies. And as you scroll down, you'll see, you should just see the case study that you are assigned to, based on the group that you're in. And when you click on one, for example, this lesson 1, or case study 1, Lisbon, Portugal, 1755, it will bring up this other page, and it will have some case-specific requirements. I'll talk about those a little bit more briefly in a moment. You're also going to have some research documents. You need to read those, take some notes on them, and then be prepared to come back and talk with the rest of your group, either in iLearn in a discussion board, or through email, or however you want, and talk about what you found and what you want to be included in your presentation. Now, to help aid you with that, there are some general discussions for every single case study, and you can find those by clicking here, and that will take you to the projects and presentations pages for the presentation assignments, and you can read all about the general instructions. Now, the case-specific instructions, where I just was at for that particular case study, those are some specific things that I want you to include in your case study. And the reason I want you to include that is because you're going to be tested on these things. So you need to make sure to do good work, do good research, and present the facts as you find them, because in lesson 5, and in a couple of other lessons in the future, and then for a final, you are going to have exams. And some of the questions on those exams will refer back to some of these case studies. Now, pretty soon, I will be sending invitations to edit the different case study presentations. I've already made a template for you to work with in Google. So you'll check I will send you out an email once those have been sent out to your school email address. I will send you an announcement letting you know you can go to your Gmail address and find it. And you'll see it in a place like this in your inbox, and it'll have the name of the case study that you've been assigned to, and it will say open in slides. You click that button and it will open up something that looks similar to this. Now yours, instead of saying Natural Disasters Template Slideshow, will have the title of your case study. In here, I've included a few more instructions. The general instructions are ones that have been written by other people at BYU Idaho who have designed this course. These instructions are particular to me, and I ask that you follow them, please. They're not going to lead you differently from the other instructions, but they're a little bit specific to Google Docs, talking about what fonts to avoid, how to communicate with each other in your groups, and so on and so forth, and some suggested strategies. As you go through this, the first thing I want you to do is to actually find out who's in your group, and then go into the class member introductions, the one you did in the first few days, and go find the people who are in your group and read about them. Get to know each other. I know you're not going to be able to meet with each other in person. You might not even see each other face to face through a webcam like this or anything, but at least just go get to know them a little bit. They are your group members. You are going to be working with them, and your grade is going to be interdependent on the work that all of you do. So I really encourage you to go get to know each other. Now, as you're communicating, like I said, there are discussion boards that you can use in iLearn. There are also email, but you can also use this comments button. This is really handy. If you click the comments button in Google Slides, it'll pop up with a little comment. You can leave multiple comments on different slides. And that is really helpful for saying, hey, this is really great. I like what you have. Maybe you should include this. Or suggestion here. I'm also going to use it to provide suggestions. Occasionally I'll go look over your case studies, because obviously I have access to all of these, and I'll make little suggestions on how you can make it look better, or maybe perhaps reword things a little bit better. So comments. Another way is if 2 or more people are editing the same document at the same time, you'll see little boxes up in here, and you can click on a little live chat box and actually have a live chat with them. Now let's talk a little bit about the rubric and how the points are broken down. There are 3 main sections. There is content, quality, and references. So the content, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. That's what you're seeing here on my screen here. Every group has 6 to 7 people and 3 roles. So at least 2 people are going to be doing each role. And the roles have been broken down by points, not by number of slides. And the reason why is because, for example, as you can see here, the title is not going to take a lot of extra work there. Introduction, not a whole lot of work. So I've broken it down by points. And role A, anybody who has role A, those total points is 22 points. Role B is in charge of 20 points, and role C is in charge of 20 points, adding up to 62 points for content. Make sure you stick with this. The reason why there's two people per group is a little bit of redundancy. Number one, if both of you are participating, then great. You work together to figure out how you want those. Of course, work with the rest of your group, but you two are in charge of that. If one of you isn't participating, well, then you have a backup. But if neither person is participating, let's say both people in role B are not working on it, and you are in role A or role C, I'm sorry, but the rest of you are still responsible to make sure that it all gets done. But I've purposely made it only 3 roles with 6 to 7 people, so there's a little bit of redundancy and a little bit of help. The other 2 categories that I mentioned are quality and references. Quality has to do with how does it look? Are you leaving it just black and white like I have it here? Did you put some color in it? Did you put some spark to it? Did you make it look nice? Did you include pictures? You need to make sure to have a picture on virtually every slide. Make sure they're relevant pictures too. Does it look professional? Did you use wildly looking fonts that are difficult to read? All of those things go into your quality grade. And lastly is references. References are super important, and it sucks that I even have to talk about plagiarism at BYU Idaho, but I do. So I'm going to talk about it. It happens every semester. Somebody is plagiarizing. And I can find out who it is too. I have software that shows me what material has been copied and from where. And using the Google Slides revision history, I can see who did it and when. Please don't plagiarize. Let me go over a little bit about how to cite your sources and what plagiarism is. Many of you probably know that if you copy and paste any material from the internet or any other source, it's plagiarism. If you're going to put anything in somebody else's words, not in your words, it has to have quotation marks around it, and it has to have a parenthetical citation. You can just put the author's last name in parentheses, as long as then in the references slide at the very end, I can see the author's name and the full source where you got it from, the URL, the name of the article, the date, all of that stuff. You can put just a number, as long as that number references again down in the references slide. That's okay. As long as it has quotes around it and some sort of citation. I prefer that you don't include any quotes in your presentation unless it's for the Eyewitness account. Then that's okay. It's much easier to avoid plagiarism if you just don't even put them in there. And I expect you to be able to reword things. If you find something in your article that you want to include in your presentation, you don't know how to reword it, then you probably don't understand it well enough to be included in there. If otherwise, reword it, put it into your own words. Also, if you include information that is not common knowledge, for example, the sun is yellow and the sky is blue, that's common knowledge, that doesn't need a citation. But if you're saying that the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 took place on the San Andreas Fault, that needs to be cited. That's not common knowledge. So if I find information that has not been properly cited, that's considered plagiarism. If I find any wording that has been quoted from other material without quotation marks and a citation, that's plagiarism. And I do have the right to give you a 0 on the assignment or fail you in the course. Please, please do not plagiarize. And part of your grade is appropriately citing your sources. That's pretty much everything. As you go through, I'll just show you briefly there. Here's in this template, you'll see up in the corner which roles have been assigned to which slides. So this is the title slide. Here's an introduction slide. Make sure you include when, where, a little bit of background. Make sure to put a map on here. The map shouldn't be so close that that all I can see is some city in Google Earth and I can't really figure out where it is. And it shouldn't be so far out that I'm looking at the entire world. Put it in context so we can tell where this event happened. In a couple of the science slides. Now, as you're going through this, you're going to be assigned to a particular slide. For example, role A has this slide, size of the disaster. You're going to talk about how big it was and how much area was affected. That's not a lot of information. Put a picture in there. If you have more information to include that's relevant to this slide, it's okay to make another slide. In fact, as you go down in here, whoever has role A, you have physical features. You're probably going to take up more than one slide. So create another one that goes in directly after that. That's okay. You're not limited to one slide. In fact, I encourage you to add more slides. A little hint to getting a good grade. The more I see that you put in extra effort to do a good job, the better your chances are of getting a good grade, and the more lenient I am with mistakes. There's processes, a way to a slide for describing the disaster, maybe what led up to it. Have other events happened in the same area? It's very similar to this. Do scientists expect it to happen again? Human impact. How did it affect people? Did it destroy houses? Did it cause sicknesses? Did it use descriptive words? Because in the next slide, then you're actually going to be listing numbers. How many people died? How many people were injured? How many people were left homeless? How long did it take for people to be able to move back to the area? How much cost in damages? All of these things are necessary. Eyewitness account. Find a story. Find a story that helps us live in the moment of the disaster. What was it like to be there? You're welcome to use links to YouTube videos. That's okay. But help us feel what it was like to be in that disaster. Historical impacts. Some of these disasters had a major a turning point even on history. What kind of art was influenced? What kind of literature was influenced by this? Conclusion. I don't really want a restatement of the facts, which is what your English teacher has probably taught you as a conclusion. In science, it's not about restating what you've already said. It's about, so what? Why do we care? Why do you think that I had you guys study this particular case instead of something else? What can we learn from this? What is the takeaway? What do we conclude? And finally, the references section, which I've already talked about. All right, I'm going to be sending out emails to your Gmail addresses. Once I do, I'll put an announcement in iLearn. Go find out who your group members are. You can do that in iLearn by clicking on Course Tools and then the Groups button, and you can find out which groups you're a member of, and you can talk to the other people. Go out there, research your case study, do a good job. I'm excited to see what you have.